Welcome in, y'all. Today we're going to be covering the Washington Commanders. We're going to be looking at their schedule and breaking down every game, win, loss, and see how we think they're going to do. Last year they went 12-5 on the back of rookie Jaden Daniels. He was phenomenal, and I expect him to do the same this year. I don't expect a step back from him. The only way step back as far as the team progress, you could argue, is the schedule. The schedule is a lot tougher. Last season, if you really look at it, they played amazing, and in the playoffs, they took down some really good teams. But in the regular season, I would argue their only impressive wins was were at Cincinnati early in the season as a Bengals team that was struggling, and then late in the season against the Eagles in a game where Jalen Hurts does get injured. So while I do think they're an amazing team, I think the 12-5 record might not have been fully kind of representing how good the team was last year. However, on the flip side, I think the team improved from last year, so maybe that counteracts that. Let's go ahead and look at the schedule. Week 1, home against the Giants. Giants actually played the Commanders fairly close last season. Some people might not remember that, but they did, and I think the Giants have the ability to keep these games close this season, but I do think the Commanders handle business, get the Week 1 W. And then Week 2, they're on the road on Thursday Night Football in Green Bay. And this is a tough one. The Packers get them on the short week in Lambeau. No travel for the Packers. Second home game in a row. And this is a fun. Can we just talk about how phenomenal this is of a Thursday night, the first Thursday night football game, not counting the opener. This is the first Thursday night game on Prime. This is great. I mean, this is an awesome game. And it's one that I've had trouble picking. It's one I've gone back and forth on. I do think if it was a neutral field or in Washington, I do take the Commanders, but I'm going to lean to the Packers on this one just narrowly. And then Week 3, they come home against the Raiders, a team that you can't overlook this year, but I do think they handle business, get the win. Then they're in a dome on the road in Atlanta. We all remember that late season game last year on Sunday Night Football between these two. That was a very fun game, but I do think Washington just improved more and are just overall the better team, and I think they get the road W there. Then Week 5, what I think would be a very fun game out in Los Angeles. Commanders visit the Chargers in this one. This is going to be a blast. And I again think it could go either way, but I'm going to take the Chargers at home in this one. Commanders fall to 3-2. And then Week 6, their Monday Night Football home against the Bears, the Hail Mary game from last year. What a game that was. It really kind of flipped the Bears season on its head. And, you do forget when picking this one. I feel like I see it, maybe other people do, and you think, Commanders home Monday night, that's a win against the Bears. And while I'll go ahead and skip ahead, I do think they win it. Let's not forget that the Bears won that game. They lost the game, but you don't have a tipped Hail Mary and you don't have a player not paying attention and whatever that was. The Bears had that game won. So definitely be careful there for Washington. That's definitely not a spot where you can 100% assume you're getting that win. But then Week 7, coming on a short week, heading to Dallas. And this is one I just did a Cowboys video. I was talking about the Cowboys, and they're a team, I think that they have a lot of star players, but then a lot of holes outside of those players. And I think that sets the recipe for a team that has the ability to win some big games against tough opponents, but also drops several games to maybe lesser opponents. And I think one of their big wins comes here at home against Washington, and the Commanders fall to 4-3 on the season. And then Week 8, Monday Night Football in Arrowhead. What a test for this Commanders team. That place will be rocking. And, I'm rooting for the Commanders, especially in this one. But unfortunately, I do lean Chiefs here. Chiefs have a tough schedule, but they're going to have to get some wins at home. Week 9, then, Commanders are home against Seattle. And I like them to take care of business here. I'm not too worried about that one. I think they get back to a winning record. And then you get Week 10, you get the playoff rematch. And this is one of those games, I think Campbell, one of his greatest strengths is his ability to motivate his teams. And I think a team remembering how their season ended last year at the hands of this Washington team, now getting a chance for revenge in their house, I think that's like your picture-perfect Dan Campbell's spot. and I think the Lions come in and sneak out a road W. So 5-5 start to the season, not great, but do not be alarmed. I have a lot of faith in these Commanders. I think they're a great football team, and there's still plenty of season to go. Week 11, I believe this is an overseas game against Miami. I don't trust the Dolphins at that point. Give me Washington. Week 13 at home. I think this is a Sunday night football game. And what a game this will be. You got Bo Nix versus Jaden Daniels. That defense versus the Commanders' offense. This is going to be a blast. What a pick for Sunday night. I love games like this in primetime. And this one really could go either way, but I will give the home lean to Washington to move to 7-5. And then week 14, you head on the road to Minnesota, a team that won 14 games last year, and I don't think they really got worse. So I think a lot of people are overlooking Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy comes in for Sam Darnold, but after 1 year, we're going to pretend that Sam Darnold is really that good, and can we maybe consider it was just the team, the system is that good around him? I think that's more likely. I'm not a Vikings fan, by the way. I feel like that has to be said, but I will take the Vikings in this one. Week 15 on the road in New York. Again, Giants played them close last year. I think this actually will be a close game, but I do give the slight edge to Washington, and they move to 8-6 on the season. Then look at this end of the season. These last few weeks are crucial. You have 3 divisional opponents, and you get the Eagles twice. Week 16, Saturday game at home. I think this is a time to be determined, so not sure if it's going to be afternoon or night. But one way or another, Saturday game, that crowd is going to be rocking home against Philly. They want to take over the division now. Washington does, and I think they get the home win, move to 9-6. Then in week 17, they're home against Dallas, a team I have them losing to earlier in this year, but there is no way they get swept by them. They move to 10-6. And then week 18, on the road in Philadelphia. If Philly, I'm going to assume that Philadelphia is playing for something in this, and in that case, I will give the edge to the Eagles. But again, if the Eagles have the division wrapped up and seeding is not at stake, then of course I will give that to Washington. But 10-7, you might see that as Washington and be disappointed, and naturally so. You went 12-5 last season. You probably arguably got better, and you're sitting there like, how on earth would we get worse? And I urge you to go look at last year's schedule and then compare it to this year's schedule. It is night and day. They're very, very different schedules. I mean, this season, it's tough. I mean, you're playing Green Bay on the road, Chargers on the road, Chiefs on the road. You got the Lions, Broncos coming to town, Vikings on the road. And I haven't even started talking about your own divisional opponents, which are all very tough. So very tough schedule. 10-7 should get. I'm almost certain they will get you into the playoffs in this scenario. So I do have the Commanders returning to the postseason, and we saw what they were able to do last year. Jane Daniels led them on the road to 2 places and got wins. So, I think just returning to the postseason is a win. I know you always want to make that next step. You're like, this is a Super Bowl year, but sometimes after a great first season, the great next step is proving you can still have a solid year next year. It wasn't a fluke. They don't fall off. They return to the playoffs, win at least one playoff game, and in my opinion, that is a successful season. So this team has such a bright future ahead of them with Daniels leading the team. I think for years to come, they're going to be very, very good, getting a new stadium in like 5 years or so, or whenever that deal finally gets done. So lots to be excited about. And I think 10-7 is perfectly fine given this schedule. So let me know what y'all think.